What's good? It is Sam here, and today I have an awesome video for you where we go over the Texas candidates that are running for the Democratic Party nomination. And then we have our own ranking based upon the YouTube search volume and the Google search volume for each one of these candidates, stack ranked 1 through 11. And then we take an average of those. So our overall ranking, we're going to compare to real clear politics, what a lot of news organizations turn to for their polling data to see where they are going wrong, where they're off. So with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you that are returning, it's good to freaking see you. You'd better be smashing that like button. All right, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, Google and YouTube, what I do to get the data is you go to Google Trends, and here you can see we have Texas, the past 12 months, and we have YouTube search volume. And then at the top here, we have the candidates' names. So what I do on YouTube and on Google is I look at the 3 different time periods to try to capture as much relevant data as possible and see where things have been trending and whatnot, and who's been top of mind in the bigger picture as well, like the longer time frame. So first we look at the 12-month, then we look at the 3-month, and then we look at the 1-month, and then I average those, where the average is 25% from the 12-month, 25% from the 3-month, and 50% of the average comes from the 30-day. And the reason that I do that is because the most recent data in the past 30 days, I believe, is more relevant to understanding what is currently on people's minds relative to 1 year ago or 3 months ago. So that's why it represents 50% of the overall average. And we do this in each one of these time frames. I stack rank them 1 through 11, right? And I do that on YouTube, and I do that on Google. And I take all of that deliciously awesome data and I put it into a spreadsheet. And this is what we come out with. So this is the second time we've done this, but let's just jump into the top 5 here. So we've got two interesting matches here. Very, very interesting. So first of all, overall winner between these two is Bernie Sanders. Like, kudos, nice job, Bernie. You're just fucking like staying relevant. So good job to you. We're going to dive into see the trends for some of these in a second, but tied in number 2 is Andrew Yang and Joe Biden. Now it's almost also just as good as that comparison is Miss Gabbard and Warren. So you have these two like people that are not really part of the establishment tied with these other 2 people who are part of the establishment, and that's that could be a very, very interesting dynamic because, right, it's 2 dudes and 2 females, and they're both tied, and they're both from different demographics and different psychographics, as well as part of the establishment, not part of the establishment. There's a lot of interesting ways, or just different lenses that this could be viewed through. So that's just super interesting. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and use the hashtag STOLT. And at the end of the video, I go through and I comment on some of the comments that people leave down below. And if you use the hashtag STOLT, it is easier for me to find. Okay, so let's dive into this a little bit. First of all, we're going to just look at the trends here. So we see on Google, Pete has stayed about the same. Andrew Yang has overall increased, right? He got pretty like high ranked here in 90-day period, and then he's lost a little bit of steam. Kamala Harris, we can clearly see what trend she's going. She's lost 4 spots throughout that time period there. Amy, I would guess that Amy's probably going to be one of the next people to drop out based on what we're seeing on a statewide level, right? Because we did California and Ohio, or Iowa, if you want to check those videos out. But even on the national rankings that I do, if you want to check any of those out, go back to the channel. But the national rankings, where we look at the whole entire country, just Amy's not gaining a lot of relevance from the 2 biggest sites in the world, like just not really important of awareness relative to all these other candidates. What's kind of also interesting is that Bernie Sanders has lost ground in the more recent time periods. Biden's also lost ground. Corey's just kind of like in the middle of the pack. He's just there. Elizabeth Warren's been gaining, right? She's gained 2 spots throughout this time period in terms of her ranking. But look at this. Gabbard has gained 4 spots. So, and it's much more recent of this. So that we probably to do with Hillary Clinton and her, but that was a couple weeks back. And just because somebody gains awareness for something that's controversial potentially, that doesn't mean that that awareness is bad. Clearly, we can see that the attention she gained from that is actually helping her and seems to be trending upward. So just because there's a spike of attention because what happened with Hillary doesn't mean that that spike of attention is attributable to Hillary and then it's just going to go away. That spike of attention is very sticky, right? So a certain percentage of that spike of attention is going to grow, and there's going to have a very long-term tail as people see her, and then a percentage of those people talk to their friends about what they saw about her and share that experience. And there's just a rippling effect that happens. So there could be something building here, and it should be very interesting because we did see a meteoric rise for her in these rankings. In the last 2 uneventful. Now over on YouTube, there's a little bit different story. So we see Andrew Yang is 5th on Google and number 1 on YouTube. So that's kind of a big discrepancy there. Let's see if we notice anything else that's interesting. What we can say about Joe Biden is he's just pretty consistent, right, across everything. He ranked 3rd, and then he ranked 3rd on YouTube. So that's kind of interesting. Warren, she again gained spots, but if you look at this, Gabbard is actually ahead of her in both areas, in the 12-month, in all 3 areas, I apologize, the 3-month and the 1 month. So that's kind of interesting. But now what I found is super interesting is when we compare these results. So literally all I did, this is called Real Clear Politics, and this is their Texas Democratic primary, and this is like the people that they rank across here in the center. And so literally what I did is I took these, right, Biden's 1, Warren's 2, O'Rourke, blah, 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 and throughout that whole entire thing, and I placed their ranking right here in pink or red. Now this is our overall ranking where we take 50% from the Google ranking and 50% from the YouTube ranking. So this represents millions of searches for all of this. So there's a fuckload of data here that's represented versus, let's go back over here, the UT Texas Tribune did a survey or poll or something. So there's probably, actually this might be actually something interesting to dive into and see if we can get an answer. Up to 100 rounding. I'm just looking to see if there's a sample size in any of this, and I'm not sure if I can find it as quickly without doing a little bit more research. But the point of it is that you have millions and millions of data points represented through Google and YouTube search volume, and you come over to some UT Texas Tribune. I'm not saying they didn't have good intentions, but the amount of data captured in their little survey, poll, whatever you want to call it, relative to what we're looking at is multiple magnitudes of difference. Like several hundred, maybe a couple thousand people versus millions of searches in Texas, like across these the 2 biggest websites on the planet. So what we want to see is like where they're wrong the most. And what that is over here on the side. So they're giantly off by Andrew Yang. They have him ranked as 8th, but he's actually ranked 2nd. Similarly, Gabbard, they have her ranked at 11th when actually she's ranked 4th. Let's see, Elizabeth Warren, they have her ranked as 2nd, but she's actually 4th. Bernie Sanders, they have a 1. Who else here? Bernie Sanders right here, they say he's ranked 4th, but he's actually 1. So it's just some interesting points that I wanted to bring out about the way things used to be done versus like it's 2019, and I understand that there might be some emotional attachment to how we used to do things. But I think if we put our heads together, like there's clearly a better way to find out what the essence of America is thinking about using data instead of these antiquated polling methods. And I'd love to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you use the hashtag STOLT, as I mentioned earlier, then I can get to your comment just like I'm about to right now. So first of all, let's jump in here, and we have Gayla Rice. Thank you so much for the comment. This is in regards to our California primaries. If you want to check that, go back onto the channel. I totally support and agree with both Yang and Tulsi. That took me a second to say her name. I've been having a lot of trouble saying her name. So anybody who's been following for a while, that was for you guys, because who've gone through and corrected me in the comments. I've been having very difficult time saying her name. So that was for you guys. Anyway, starting last January, I gave to all the grassroots only non-senators. That's interesting. Well, that's cool that you did that, Ms. Rice. We need all the senators running to stay in the Senate to pass all the bills sitting in Congress. We need the change. We need the change that Bernie brought in 2016, and we need the younger and non-establishment candidates like Yang and Tulsi. Again, number two, this other person in Castro. I'm not even going to try to say their name. Maria Ann. They are all humanity first and smart, honest, willing to find solutions to fix the problems of today. I think that's a very interesting, keen insight, and I believe, honestly, Gayla, that a lot of people would agree with you that we need some fresh thinking. It doesn't have to be left, and it doesn't have to be right. That we need somebody who's actually going to do something that has the big impact, like it has the high ROI things. And I think that you bring up some interesting points in terms of the establishment and people outside of the establishment. I agree that we definitely need somebody from outside the establishment. Thank you so much for the comment. One of the insights, let's take a look right here. This is from Black Coffee and Books. What's good, Black Coffee? Thank you so much. Bernie is going to win this thing, and in the future, he will be remembered as one of the greatest presidents in American history. He will do nothing less than bring a new golden age to America, just like FDR did back in the day. It is possible. It is possible. Thank you so much for that comment. He does rank very well in a lot of the state polling, the state like rankings that we're doing, as well as on the national rankings where we look at the same categories like Google search volume, YouTube search volume. I rank their websites based upon the data. I rank their social media based upon growth rates and whatnot, and I rank their donations. And all of those factors, overall, I do an average to come up with an overall ranking for all these candidates, and Bernie Sanders does really well in that poll. So if you want to check out any of those series, go back to the channel. But he does do really well in most of those, at least in the top 5, I think, for almost all of them. And probably top 3 for the overall power rankings. So with that being said, don't forget to subscribe to see future videos like this, and think about what we're trying to do here in terms of shifting how we have done things, as mentioned in the comment from Gayla a minute ago. But that goes with the candidates, but also the lens that we capture and see things through. Because remember, this is what we are using currently, where you get several hundred people or a couple thousand people responding some survey, where that whole survey process, just the whole process in general, taking all the other biases out of the picture, just that in and of itself is going to cause problems by having people opt in to take a survey for something, period. There's going to be noise in the answers. They're not going to be accurate. And you can go from something so antiquated to something that's based on the data, right? It's 2019. I think there's a better way of doing things, or at least a conversation that needs to be had about the intelligence of the way we do things, and if there is a better option. So if you agree with that and you appreciate some of this stuff, then share this video with somebody else. It really does help out the channel, and hopefully it can provide value to them. Thank you so much for watching.